Thank you. And on to new business. You have before you a field trip request for Sunday River. I believe Mr. Young is here to talk about that a little bit. It is scheduled to take place beginning on March 7th of 2025.
I think we have Mr. Berg as well.
Berg.
Yeah.
It's up to you. We're a friendly bunch.
Yeah, so we are proposing as our 10th year in our, well, minus COVIDs, but I think this is our 10th weekend trip that we've done. So we're traveling to Sunday River, Maine. We won't miss any school for it. Maybe we'll leave like 1:30, depending on the bus. We haven't booked it yet, so they usually want to leave around 1 to beat traffic getting by Boston.
Which would be
Well,
on a Friday, right, Mike?
which will
That's
be a Friday, like like 1 o'clock. We'd probably call them down around 1 o'clock, load the bus, get out before the buses come in, and then we'll be back Sunday evening. So they're not going to really miss any school for it, and it's a lot of fun. Kids really enjoy it. We get a lot of good comments from parents. So, I don't know. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions from the committee?
No, I think it's great that they do
Yeah, it
that.
looks like a
I
fun
love that,
trip.
Yeah.
I did see a lot of the protocols with behavior on the trip.
Correct.
Can we somehow tie in where if a student violates our handbook rules prior to the trip, they cannot go on the trip?
I believe it is in there.
Is it? Okay, I read through most of it, but,
I also
Wasn't
think
sure
in
if
the handbook itself, in
Okay.
your student handbook,
Yeah.
I think there is authority to preclude anyone from activity based on school behavior.
Okay, all
in the
right.
student handbook.
Right.
Yeah, because right in the first on page 3 of that packet, I think, principal has the right to exclude any student from the field trip. The student's prior demonstrated behavior in school or out of school, blah, blah, blah.
All right, perfect.
And I know I'm still a little traumatized, but any contingency for weather?
So, yeah,
It says.
it's the only year that we've ever had an issue, so
Yeah,
we'll
well,
keep
none
our
of these
fingers
gray
crossed.
hair are from
But,
that trip.
I mean, we are leaving Friday. We don't actually we don't actually start skiing till Saturday, so we do have a pretty decent-sized window if we needed to adjust somewhere in
How
there.
long does it take to get there?
It's about 4 hours,
Okay,
so it's
that's
not terrible.
too bad.
But Dr. Chamberlain does say that you can cancel it at any time.
Yes, yeah.
You still have PTSD, but it does say that you have that right.
So popular.
All right, any more questions or comments? No?
No?
All right, seeing none, I think we're ready to vote unless you had more info
Nope,
to add.
I'm
Okay.
good
No,
unless-
it looks good, it was very thorough.
Yeah.
So, thank you. All right, I'll seek a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the ski/snowboard trip to Sunday River on March 7th, 2025 through March 9th, 2025.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, it is a go.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good
Thank
time.
you.
Enjoy.
Thanks for coming in tonight.
you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Next on the agenda, we have Mrs. Pulver here to review some of the things that happened during the 23-24 school year, and she will also be seeking your approval for some new vendors. So if you'd like to come up.
Hi guys, I will make this hopefully quick and painless. Thank you for hearing me today. We decided to go with all of the vendors that were provided through the Massachusetts School Buying Collaborative, which is the collaborative that Auburn Public Schools is a part of. We did not go out to bid for any additional programs this year. If we run out of funding with the grants that we do have for produce, we will procure a vendor, hopefully in March. But as of right now, it looks like we have enough funding to get us for our fruits and vegetables and other produce through the school year. So this year, we will be using Duva Distributors, Driscoll Foods, SFS Pack, New England, which is our sanitation bid. It has been a game changer for us. I just want to put in a nice plug there. With the Board of Health. So there's a lot of documents that we can now provide that previously we couldn't. And we have somebody coming in monthly to service all of our equipment sanitation and looking at our refrigeration and things like that. So it's been a nice proactive thing that we could do. With the information that we were able to get from them, we procured new equipment this year. So I just wanted to kind of put that in there, that it's something that we started last year that we are continuing to use for this year. New England Ice Cream for our dairy. WB Mason is our new paper product company, and Polar Beverages is where we'll be getting our a la carte beverages. So those are the vendors that we'll be using this year for food, paper, and sanitation. So one of the other things that I would like to discuss was I didn't get to see everybody at the end of last school year, and hopefully we had a restful summer. But some of the statistics that I wanted to provide you was we were able to increase our breakfast participation 12% from March 2023 when I started to the end of last school year. We have also increased our lunch participation. We're now feeding 74% of the average daily attendance and 45% of the average daily attendance for breakfast. That's huge for us. We've actually added some new labor. So we have some subs that have become full-time employees with this new increase in the consumption of meals. We partnered with Vanguard Renewables, which is a solid waste and recycling company with the coordination of the town of Auburn and the waste collection program in May of 2024. So it was kind of at the end of the school year. We worked out the kinks. We just had our first pickup today. I'll be able to, in the middle of the school year, give you some more statistics on how many pounds of food waste we're diverting from the dumpster. And
Big deal.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very big deal. I was pleased that I was able to get it started, and it's kind of near and dear to my heart, kind of trying to be somewhat sustainable. I'm working with the town waste collection program to eventually this year bring it into the students. So right now we're only collecting waste in the back end. So any food that's spoiling before a break, any overproduction, or any food that is being returned from the students, like if they drop something or things like that. So we're looking into canisters that we can put in the cafeterias that can sort the waste that we can then put into our garbage pails out back. So there's that. We have upgraded some equipment, like I had mentioned earlier. A lot of it came from advice from our sanitation company, and others were just things that were original to our buildings that just needed to be updated. We purchased a new service line at Packagug. It was a process that we had a fire in the line in October on Halloween, and then we finally got everything all in place and operational by the end of May last year. We have a new steamer at Auburn Middle School. We have a combi oven, which is a steam and convection oven at Bryn Mawr. We were able to combine two pieces of equipment that were taking a lot of space and weren't the best, in the best shape. And we're able to now have one piece of equipment that's going to be able to air fry, steam, do any kind of convection cook. And the staff is very excited to kind of amp up the quality of the meals at the elementary school. And if it is positively received at Bryn Mawr, we will expand that to Packagug over the next year. We have started updating milk coolers. We own all of our milk coolers here in Auburn, which is very exciting in the sense we're not paying to rent them. So we've had them for quite a few years and want to start improving the quality of the refrigeration. We purchased 2 dishwashers. Unfortunately, we weren't awarded the grant that I had mentioned earlier last year, but we did have the funds to get a new dishwasher at Bryn Mawr and Packagug, which is a game changer. It has internal boosters, and the temperature is all up to code, and the Board of Health is incredibly happy with us to make that that step. And I'm working with Joe Fahey to put out an RFP to do renovations at Bryn Mawr Elementary School for the 2024-2025 school year. So those are some of the things that equipment we purchased. We've also implemented a new point of sale company. We had 5 separate companies that we were using for various food food service services. So we had a different point of sale inventory, and parent portal to pay. So now it's all one location, one customer service, one program, and we're getting some really good financial data out of that too. And we're in the process of purchasing new hardware, and we ran into a hiccup, but we hopefully will have it by the end of the month. So those are the things that I have. And I thank you for liking the video. It was a shock. I hadn't seen it, and I happened to see Beth, and she goes, "Did you see the video?" And I was like, "No." So we happened to have a really nice moment watching the things that we had going on here at Auburn Middle School get heard on the floor on Congress. So if you get a chance to watch the link, if you haven't, I might have almost cried, but it's okay. It's exciting for me, so I hope it's exciting for you. We will be starting the Tower Gardens in the next couple of weeks. So I just have to work it around growing it before and after our holiday breaks. So
So just a couple things, if I could, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
absolutely.
So the list of vendors that you noted at the beginning, you need their approval
yes,
to go with those vendors. So I don't know if we want to make a motion for the vendors as noted by Ms. Pulver, and we can get the list and put those in the minutes
Yeah, let's get that taken care of now.
before we
and-
forget.
I'll make a motion to approve the additional vendors to be utilized by the food service program as
Second.
mentioned.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
And then if I could, I really think she underplays the work that she has done in this department in a really big way. The physical improvements to the kitchens is gonna be just tremendous once it all kind of gets to where it needs to be. But she's really taken that on. This collaboration with the town around the waste, the food waste. Darlene Coyle, I haven't seen her so happy since we decided we didn't have to talk about COVID anymore. She's so excited that Brienne was open and willing to participate, so she's really making some nice outreach to the town and connections that way. Our participation is unbelievable. She's engaging students in different things to hear from them with what they want, what they'd like to see for food. The list goes on, and I just want her to get the recognition she deserves, because she really is transforming our program, and we are very thankful for the work that she's doing,
Yes.
including staffing. Now, that staffing in our
Yes.
kitchens was always a challenge, and there was no turnover, and we've added a few new ones, so that's
I-
another statement to her leadership in that
we have had the
area.
same staff since last October. So like, I'm incredibly thankful to them. They'll go up to bat for me too. So
Yeah,
they
that's a
know
big
that
Chair, I've
I'll-
heard that. They
Yeah.
love you.
And
Yes.
they know that I'll go up to bat for them, so.
Yeah,
But
that's-
yes, they're great. I can't talk any more highly of all of them. But yes, I am incredibly appreciative that I've maintained the same staff since last October.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a huge feat right there
Huge
in this
And
day and
The only
age.
other item would be, and I did bring this up at a meeting in the spring, was that we now qualify for the community eligibility provision, which means that there is no more free and reduced lunch application. All of our students are identified through, it's called direct certified through the state,
Yes.
right? Which
Yep.
means either through the SNAP or
DTA, TANF, or Mass Health.
yeah, so those big organizations, if they identify them, then we're given that information. So the only form that we have given out through the, when we put out bus passes, folks can fill out a form if they feel like they haven't been identified and could be, they can fill out a form for us to look into that. So that's another thing that's been a big change for us this year, and that'll last for 3 years, right?
It'll last for 4 years. In
4
our
years.
third year, I have the opportunity to reapply if our percentages are still where they are. So last October, the federal government the USDA had decided that they were gonna lower the rate for community eligibility provision from 40% to 25%.
So if you have more than 25% of the families qualify for free and reduced, then they qualify everyone.
Everybody.
And that's where we've always sat around 30, 32.
Yeah.
So the 40% threshold, we never met. But now that they lowered it to 25,
Yep.
we qualify for that.
qualify.
And there's no, you have to become part of this provision.
Yes, it's one of the blessings
you
and
like
curse
to, you
of
have to.
universal free meals.
Yeah.
So, but we did it. All the paperwork is submitted.
Yeah.
Our first claim, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Did you have a summer break at all?
I did. I was working mostly on our point of sale, but I had some time off.
Yeah, good,
Good. You've done a great job.
Thanks,
deserve it.
guys.
Yeah, you've
you.
done amazing
much.
things.
And you are free to head home. So thank you.
Run.
All right, great. Yeah, you've done a great job. Even just increasing the hot lunch amount of kids that participate, it's always been a challenge in the 11 years that I've been on here, is like, how do we get the kids more involved? And I think you've done such a great job, so, yeah, much appreciated. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yep. You too.
Take care.
Thank you.
And lemons on the backpack. I mean,
Oh, she's so cheery. Yeah. Oh, she's so cute. All right.
Through the chair, she won over the high school. I mean, the high school kids love it.
Oh,
So-
really? Yeah, that's great. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Sarah. I don't know if I can come in. Do you want me to stay out here or?
Sarah, what's your last name?
Curcio.
Oh, you're here you're a new teacher at the middle school.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna come through and shake hands and introduce everyone, because we've
Yes,
already
yeah.
had everyone come. So come around.
Come on
Welcome
over.
to Auburn. You can come right, right here,
Welcome,
shake
welcome
hands.
to Auburn.
Hi, welcome, thank you.
Multitasking.
It's a quick thing at the beginning, but welcome, Sarah.
Yeah, and thank you for joining.
yes.
Matt,
Excellent.
welcome, welcome.
Thank you. And I was like, do I come in?
Yeah.
I talked to the person leaving. Well, maybe they'll open the door and I can come in. I don't want to be rude.
That's okay. Thank
No,
you.
welcome
for coming.
aboard.
Welcome
Thank
to
you so
Auburn.
Yep.
And I'm sure we'll see you in the school. All right?
You're free.
It was lovely meeting all of you.
Welcome.
Good night.
Have a great night.
Okay. And I do, on that same note, want to mention, Dr. Lopez mentioned that she also has Sarah Gardella, right?
Yeah, she was at the back to
Grade
school
three.
night.
Yeah, she's a long-term sub, but also new to the team.
Oh, okay.
Mrs. Stanek, maybe you could open that door if you don't mind. I think it'll keep it a little bit cooler in here without the, air on. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
All right. So just to touch base on the 24-25 school year opening, by all accounts, it's been a very good opening, a smooth opening. Of course, buses are always a big issue for the most part, few small hiccups, but for the most part, everything has gone remarkably well up until this morning, but thankfully no students or anyone was hurt in a bus incident, fairly minor accident, somewhat minor, I guess, with no students or anyone hurt this morning. But yes, we've had a great start. Teachers came back last Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, they worked in their buildings. Tuesday, we met as a complete staff at Auburn High School, had a welcome breakfast together, and met through that. And then teachers have been given time. We have a lot of mandated training that has to be done at the start of every year. Everything that's covered there is listed in the agenda, which is a huge amount of information that has to be covered each year. We have partnered with RxEd to provide that training, and so now it comes like a lot of the training you get right in little short 3-minute video snippets, which is a lot easier. Ours used to be like 150 slide PowerPoint.
75 questions.
Yeah,
and-
this is so much more accessible for everyone, and they can do it at their own pace. They have through the end of the month to finish that.
Well, that's great.
We get a dashboard now that I can see who's finished it, who hasn't, who's halfway through, who's a quarter of the way through. They get weekly reminders that they have to get this done, and then we know that all of the information that they need is included. We can also add our own information, so we added our staff handbook and another thing about making sure folks don't share their swipes with anyone, so that's included in there as well. So, so it was really gone well. And this year, too, we've added in Enough, which is called Preventing Sexual Abuse in My School. This is a video, it is somewhat troubling and difficult to watch, honestly. But it's about making sure that you're watching for the warning signs, should there be something inappropriate happening in a school building. And so, again, some good feedback about that, even though it is difficult information to take in, but something that we felt was really important. So now at the start, I met with principals today. Overall, all good. We are very closely monitoring our busing for the number of kids on the bus. So I think since August 1st, we've had close to 200 bus registrations. I think I had sent out an email in late August that it was 74. It's remarkable to me. And these are not all new students. Many of them are current students. So at this time, we've started to have the buses take counts of students on buses, starting today. We'll do that through the week. We do this every year. We don't usually do it this early, but because I want to make sure that we don't have any buses that are very overloaded, that we are collecting that information early. So we could get to the point that we have to add a school bus. That I will share with you probably at the next meeting if that's the case. And we can discuss where that funding might come from, but we did get money for our newly arrived students, and that may help us out if we have to do that. Today, the count seemed pretty reasonable, nothing unusual. It's just, we have all these people that take bus passes that never intend to use them, right? And so the actual ridership doesn't match up with what you give for bus passes. So now we'll wait and see, but more to come. We know that safety comes first, so we will make sure that our kids are safe, and as it stands right now, all reports are things are good, so more to come.
Through the chair, how much does a bus hold? Like how many kids?
So, most of our buses are 83 passenger buses, but that means 3 kids to a seat. So that's fine for some kids, right? A lot of our primary kids and even some of our Swanson kids fit fine 3 to a seat. But some of our 5th graders, there's no way you're gonna get three of those 5th graders into a seat. So the actual number depends on some things, but they call them, most of them are 83 passenger, or some are 76, but most of ours are 83.
Awesome, thank you.
So if we were to add a bus, is this a major upheaval of everyone's schedules?
Well, we would have to do something
routes?
very skillfully. And I've already kind of laid that foundation with Linda Perno at AA Transportation to be thinking about where are the big spots that we could somewhat group together and then spread them out a little bit. So she's working on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that's their
That could
department
be
to
a
figure
nightmare.
that out.
Yeah,
We
all right.
can't revise the whole thing, right? So it would have to be very strategic in a certain area to kind of level the playing field.
Right.
But it's tricky. They're doing it in Webster right now. So, I said, well, Linda, that'll be practice, it's just in case you have to do it in Auburn.
Sure, she appreciates that.
Yeah, no one really wants to do it, so we're gonna try and make sure that, but again, safety first. So whatever we need to do to keep kids safe, we will.
Through the chair, could we add for just one route if needed? If, I don't know where the big,
Yeah, I have to
Numbers
talk to
are-
them about that. I don't think AA is, I think contractually, I think they're gonna say
it has to be one the
it
whole time?
has to be one,
Okay.
because they have to hire a driver.
Right, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, yep,
So, yeah.
okay, makes sense, thank
Yep.
you.
Through the chair, I love my bus driver. So,
There are a lot of good bus drivers out there.
Yeah.
I mean, to get a first grader on the bus, first go, first whatever. Oh my God, let's go, buddy. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I love you.
We are
The
very
first person they
fortunate.
see, you
Yeah.
know? Like
We are so
first day of
fortunate.
I
school.
remember the bus from a kid. It wasn't like that.
No, that's great. Good to
AA
hear.
Transportation and their team have been, they're just so responsive, and they care about what they're doing, and they want it to go right, and I will say, probably I shouldn't, but the driver today who was involved in the traffic incident, I'll call it, she took her license, took the maintenance van that had come to help her, went to the bus yard, got another bus, and finished her elementary route.
Wow.
I mean,
So-
they're just committed. I
And she
mean,
was so happy, and she was calling in, so they knew what time to expect her. She was running a little bit late, and it was really something. The dedication is just tremendous, so we're very fortunate.
Can we send her, through the chair, can we send her like a thank you note or something?
Oh, we're going to do something.
Awesome, yeah, because, I mean, she deserves it, like, that,
She does
that takes
deserve it.
commitment, and she obviously loves her kids, and
She
I
does,
think it's
Yes.
important.
They all, most of them are phenomenal.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's great news. Okay. Or not good news about the adding a bus, but
Glad she's
we'll get
okay.
through it.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Alrighty.
The next item on the agenda is a student enrollment update, which I normally give you this time of year. It is as of 8/28. we'll have our firm enrollment as of August 1st, right? October 1st, that goes to the state. So you'll see that the total by school, the first box includes all of our new registrations up to August 28th, with a total of 2,504 students, including preschool. And comparatively to 23, 24, we ended up with 2499. So there's not a big difference in our overall enrollment. And there are always some variations. And you'll see in the next box, the registrations as of August 28th, new registrations were 204. Mandy gave me a note that since the 28th, we've had an additional 9 student registrations. So that will raise our overall count by 9 students, and an additional 21 bus registrations just since the 28th. So again, 21 minus 9, that gives you current students that are still registering for the bus. Yeah, it's a real moving target, but we're working on that. So I think at this point, even with the opening of the
Tinker Hill.
yeah, it's Tinker Hill, Albert Street, and it's got a very funny name, the whole,
Do you know the complex up there, Brooke? What's it?
I don't
it's got a
know.
funny.
Yeah, it has a funny, I can't think of it off the top of my
Because
head.
it's one of those,
but
I don't know
know
how
it.
anyone's gonna remember,
Yeah.
because it doesn't really make any sense for a housing development.
Yeah, I've been up there.
It's
huge.
It's huge. Yeah.
Huge. Yes.
Right now, we only have 2 students from there, but there's only 1 building open.
Correct.
They're saying by December that there'll be a number of buildings open. They estimate maybe 30 students by December. So that's something else that we have to factor in, the potential need for another bus, if we get another 30 students. But that's another moving target, because they could also get 5,
Correct.
based on who
Correct.
rents the units.
Yeah.
Many of them are, not efficiencies, but they're not even a 1-bedroom, they're like a
Studios?
studio.
Yes.
Many of
Yeah.
them are studios. Some are 1 bedroom, some are 2 bedrooms. So you don't know where that's all gonna land.
So I'm
So,
guessing it's easier to get a bus earlier in the year than halfway through the year, if we needed to, or?
I don't
No?
think that's
Okay.
necessary. It's a matter, they have the bus. AA
Oh,
has
okay.
a bus. It would be having a driver. And they brought on a couple of extra maintenance people who are also drivers,
Perfect.
so that they have some flexibility,
Yeah.
so that they wouldn't be starting from square one.
Now, would they prorate us if we needed a bus in December or January?
Oh, I think so.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah, I
right, good.
think so.
Great,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right. Wow.
So, any other questions about registration? I will tell you, our main office, God bless Mandy and, Mandy Rocco and Caitlin O'Neill, because they rode out a summer where we were short-staffed and they were very long hours. And they're still here. And they're still smiling, which is excellent and very much appreciated.
Thank you,
So,
Mandy.
yeah. They're great. They are great.
Oh, it's Topograph.
Really? That's the name of
Yeah.
that?
It's called Topograph Apartments, yeah.
Like a
It took me a minute.
geography term.
Yeah,
Isn't
I
that like
can't get my head
topography?
to remember it.
Huh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
Okay.
that's okay. It'll sink in at some point. I'm sure.
I knew it was something geography related, I just couldn't get my head around it.
And the next item on the agenda is satellite and galaxy enrollment. So just to give you an idea of where we're at right now. Right now, our counts actually are pretty manageable, and we could still fit in some kids if we needed to. So again, very typical numbers, I think, for this time of year, with a few spaces should someone show interest. So that's nice to have that flexibility at this time of year. And again, Robin Grady does a great job keeping track of all this, and last year she actually collected every cent that was owed for satellite and galaxy, because she's so efficient in keeping track of things, which was really well appreciated. So she does a nice job on that.
Robin's
Chair,
fantastic.
Robin is amazing.
Yeah, she's
Through the chair, she
fantastic.
gave us an alert well in advance, and she was like, just so you know, this is the balance, done.
Yeah.
Thank you for being my brain, because I would have been like, oh, shoot, I gotta do that.
Yeah.
You know?
She's really good at keeping track of
Yeah.
those things, so we're
The
lucky
chair,
to have her.
she's always on top of emails, it's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's very helpful. Kudos to Robin.
No, we'll make sure we let her know. She'll appreciate that.
So on a side note of that, we did increase our prices. Have we seen, you said it was pretty much the same as every year? Okay.
Yeah.
Just wondering, and I did see Scuttlebutt on Facebook about it, so I didn't know if people in need, are they coming forward to get help and asking for the discount, or are they just complaining on Facebook?
Well, no
Have we
one's,
had anyone?
no one's really come forward. I
No,
know
okay.
in years past, whenever that comes up, it usually comes through the principal of the building, and we've always recognized that. I
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
know in Mrs. Stanik's building, when she was principal, we've given scholarships there. That's not anything that we're opposed to doing.
Yeah,
so.
no, I know that, and I'm wondering if they did come forward, like, they can,
Yes,
and
they
help
can.
is there, so.
Well, through the chair, I think there was I saw that as well, but I think that there was a misunderstanding with how much the increase was. That what they were saying was not what was presented to us in the meeting. So I think that it was just a misconception. I think they had older numbers because that wasn't, what they were saying was went up exorbitant. And I was like, that's not what it was. So I think it was just more of a misunderstanding. They didn't have the right numbers.
Yeah, as long as people know they can come and
Yeah.
ask for help,
Yeah.
so,
Yep.
if needed. All right, great.
The next item, I just wanted to let you know that, pleased to report that as per Chapter 159 of the Acts of 2000, Section 363, Chief Coleman, Chief Levman, and I, along with members of the district safety team, we've gone through our multi-hazard plans. We also have a district multi-hazard plan, and they have signed off in support. I want to thank them and the folks from their teams that help us on our district safety team to put those together. So again, those are not public documents, therefore they're not in your packets, because there are things in there that we quite frankly don't want the public to be aware of when it comes to safety. So I couldn't ask for a better team to work with than the police and fire and the town leadership here related to safety. We've been very, very fortunate. And I might, if I could, go out of order a little bit,
Yeah,
Madam
sure.
Chair.
Yeah.
So speaking of safety and the unfortunate moment of silence we had to take at the beginning of this meeting, I do want to provide a little bit of context related to what we do in Auburn related to safety. So something that we have talked about now since I've been in this role, the building of relationships. Because we know that when kids have relationships, they have positive relationships with people at school. They have a much less chance of wanting to do anyone harm. Along with that, with your support, we have our social workers that are available at our buildings, which is a tremendous support in addition to our guidance staff that can help address some of the mental health issues that lead to things like happened in Georgia today. All of our staff have received a review in the ALICE training, and sometime in the next month, middle school and high school students will go through not a simulated activity, but there will be an activity related to what would they do if something were to happen, so that will come. We are thankful for the police department. There are not many districts our size who have 2 school resource officers, and their presence is very well noted and seen. And I will tell you, as we sit here tonight, I just received, and I met with Brian Kennedy, who we all know and love, the other day, because he kind of supervises our SROs. And he just texted me tonight that there'll be extra presence at our middle school and high school for the next few days based on what happened. We talk to each other a lot, but we are thankful for our SROs. And that brings me to another thing that we're adding this year, which is further in the agenda, but the Sandy Hook Promise Anonymous Reporting System. So Sandy Hook Promise was an organization that was developed after the tragic shooting that took place in Sandy Hook. It was over 10 years ago now, when that happened, with the goal being that they wanted to do something that was going to help save lives. And so Sandy Hook Promise was started. And the initial stage of being involved with Sandy Hook Promise is start with hello. And so each of our schools implemented that this past school year, which any school can jump onto that. And the idea being is that no kid should be left out. No one should be felt like they have no connection to other kids. So it's about, again, building that community of inclusion. So again, we'll do that this year. Along with that, they have the SAVE Clubs, which are Students Against Violence Everywhere, that we're going to be developing in each of our buildings. So kids are talking about what it means to, if you hear something, to say something. What can you do to create that community with students so that no one feels like they have to act out in that way? And we've been on a waiting list for over a year for this next phase of this, which is the anonymous reporting system. It is a very well-regarded program and one very difficult to get, and it's free. And so what that's going to do for us, students at Auburn Middle School and Auburn High School, well, first we created teams at each school. So building principals, guidance counselors, social workers are on this team. And so we're all in the process of going through our training with how this works. And so there's a call center. It's located in Miami with folks accredited in suicidality and how to respond to those things. So if on a Saturday night, one of our students felt like maybe they knew someone who might do something terrible to someone, they could call this number, they could report it. It would be reported to the police department, to the building administrators. They have geolocators if it is really a threat to life and safety that they can use, even though they try to allow this anonymous piece to take place. Student can report if they're threatening to hurt themselves, if they feel like they need someone to talk to. And they handle all the calls, so when we're not here at school for someone to reach out to us, there are ways for them to get a hold of someone. The students will receive training, with the first being, go to a trusted adult, right? If any of these things are happening. So that ties to the relationship building that we're working on. Go to a trusted adult, report it to someone who you find that's safe. And then beyond that, if you don't want to, we have a bullying reporting form that's available to students. We have this anonymous reporting system now that will be in place for that they can go through. So there'll always be an avenue if someone feels like there's something that they need help with, or someone they know needs help, they can find that for them. So it's a little bit overwhelming, honestly, but I feel like this is the big missing piece. Many school districts are relying on Google Forms that they give kids QR codes to. But guess what? If something happens at 2 a.m. and it gets reported and someone doesn't see it till 8, 9 o'clock the next day, you don't know what can happen. So this circumvents that. Randy McCarthy and John O'Brien, our SROs, are involved in the training as well, because the police department could be pulled into this if something were to be reported. So as much as I wish we didn't need it, I feel like this is another thing that's going to bring us and our kids more safety. We've had a number of physical enhancements to the building over the summer that go along with our multi-hazard plan and our capital improvement plans. And I just can't say enough about how this community comes together to do everything they can to keep kids safe. So unfortunately, there are no guarantees. But at this point, I don't know what else we could be doing to keep our kids safe. And, you know, at my opening address to staff, I said to them, we're not changing the course. We're staying the course. We're building relationships with kids and with one another, because in a community that cares about one another, doesn't want to hurt anybody.
Right.
And so that's where we're really putting a lot of our emphasis. And then beyond that, we talked about, you know, see something, hear something, say something. Whether you're a staff member or a student, you've got to tell somebody. You can't keep it to yourself. And now this gives everyone the ability to use this. So if a parent were to overhear something with their kids, they're going to be able to use this if they needed to. So it isn't just for students. But what they do know is that many things do go unreported, because there's still that climate out there of snitches. That kids don't want to be known as that. And so they will hold back even though when they know they should say something. And this eliminates that piece of things. So I don't know if you have any questions. That was kind of a lot of safety stuff, but those two things, the multi-hazard plans and now the introduction of this Sandy Hook anonymous reporting, are really some big things for us.
Yeah, no, I just have a comment. In the past, over the past years doing this, I know that, I don't know the specific students, but we have had great students who come forward if they hear something, they say something. They don't let us in the door without permission. So, yeah, there's just a lot of great kids in our community that are already doing this, so it's really impressive and exciting.
And
so.
great staff who have built those relationships with kids.
Yeah, because they got to learn it somewhere.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That can make kids feel comfortable with coming forward, that they know that it's a safe adult, you know?
Yeah.
So it really does, it takes all of us working together on this to make it work for kids.
Any more comments or questions?
Thank you for doing all this work.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That's a lot, thank you.
Great.
So when does this start? Do we have a date yet, or?
I think probably late October or early November, and that will be once all of the staff have completed their training, and then the scheduled trainings take place with the students.
Okay.
And then after that, there'll be a lot of communication with families around it.
Yeah.
Once we get to that point, that we can give them the specifics about how it works and when we're gonna go live and all of that, but that'll all be put out to everyone, and I'll share it with you when I have all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should push this out on playbills, on stuff, sports, if there's like programs or something, like just little at the bottom of everything.
Well, I
Just have
think
the
they give us
numbers.
QR codes for it.
Oh,
So a
good.
kid can just take their phone and they can scan it to make the connection. We can also push it out through Schoology, so that there's information there.
Good.
And they provide us with a bunch of signage as well, that'll go up around our buildings, so.
Great, yeah.
Awesome.
I just learned how to use the scanny QR code the other day, so. Growing up.
Grown up.
Just
Yeah.
now?
It took like 5 years, but yeah, finally.
Oh, my.
You know how many menus I haven't seen because I refused to give in?
Guess he's starved for a couple years.
She didn't eat for a couple of years.
Okay, all right, we'll move on.
All right, so the next exciting is the superintendent's goals. So in your packet, I've included some potential goals that I will seek your approval for. I will tell you again that it stays the course. So what you're going to see is some of what's repeated from last year because we still have work to do. So the first is a student learning goal. And this is, again, about making sure that everyone knows how all our kids are doing and that we are building a robust data review cycle with all staff so that they're looking at how kids are doing, what are they missing in real time, so that we're making teaching adjustments along the way. And we have this in places and in pockets and in certain versions, but it's not where it needs to be yet. It's not fully embedded. So I think that that's a big piece when we look at how do we really move our kids forward. So that's the first goal, in meeting with principals to review data and classroom visits, but along with Mr. Keller being very involved in the data kind of breakdown for all that. The professional practice goal, I am in year 3 of the new superintendent program, so that will continue, and then this is it. Then they send you on your way. So it's really more of a consultancy protocol this year, where each time we meet, one of us will bring a problem of practice, and kind of talk that through in real time. So I'm looking forward to that, because it's going to be real practical kind of things that are happening in people's districts.
Do you still have the same coach?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Terry,
Yeah,
yeah, she's
great,
awesome,
yeah.
yeah. The district improvement goal, the first one, again, this did not change, because that idea of deepening our knowledge of unconscious bias, racial identity, and racism is at the core of what we have to do. And so we had Colin Rose, who is from Perennial Education. Last year, he worked with the leadership team around us beginning to think about, what does cultural competence look like in the Auburn Public Schools? We now have a draft document that we'll be sharing with staff, but beyond that, he's going to continue to work with us around unearthing the things that need to be unearthed. And making sure that none of our kids are the victims of microaggressions or comments, whether intentional or unintentional, and that we begin to examine what we say, how we say it, and how that might make someone else feel. So that work is gonna take some time. Yeah, let's say that.
All goes back to the school safety, though. I mean, really,
It
that's
does.
how,
It
it's a
It does,
big old
yeah.
circle, so.
It does. The second district improvement goal is tied to teacher evaluation. So we have heard that our teacher evaluation process could be more meaningful for staff. And so we want to take some time to give the leadership and the principals some additional training around how we can make that happen. So we've all, the book Rethinking Teacher Supervision and Evaluation, How to Shift the Conversation to Coaching, Continuous Improvement, and Student Learning is going to be a kickoff for us for conversations during our principal meetings every other week. And we're also going to do some training with Kim Marshall, it's called Rocket PD, which is virtual, that we've all signed up for, so that we can begin to talk about that, so that evaluation is meaningful and it isn't a gotcha. It's really about improving practice. And the last district improvement goal is still focused on updates to that strategic plan and making sure that what we're working on aligns to what was laid out in that plan. So I had started giving monthly updates last year in my notice out to families, and I'll continue to do that this year, and involve some more folks in getting some of that information in there, because as much as I know, I don't know it. There's so much that happens that's tied to all that it's hard to keep track of. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about any of those.
Through the chair, just a question about evaluations. Is there anything about like 360 evaluations, even like high school students, middle school students, probably, I don't know about elementary, not evaluating their teachers, but just to get an idea of how our students like their teachers?
So what we'll be sharing with you soon, right now the data is still embargoed, but DESE, through the MCAS, they do a vocal survey. I'm not gonna remember that acronym stands for, but it's a survey about school climate,
Okay.
right? So it doesn't necessarily touch on, do I like my teacher? But it might ask, do I have a teacher that I feel safe going to talk to if I have an issue? And things like that'll get at that. Years ago, there was a component of teacher evaluation that was built in that we had to survey students all the way down to kindergarten. So when I was principal at Bryn Mawr, we had put together some surveys with little happy and sad faces, and the teacher would read the question, and then they would pick them. And there was a lot of angst from teachers across the state related to the surveys. And I understand why that is to some degree. I tried to convince my teachers, like, you can't take it personally and you can't take it as gospel, but you get a trend, right? Like, most of the kids feel like things are okay. That has somewhat gone by the wayside, but I do think that the vocal survey and the data that we get from that is going to be very helpful. And we're also looking at, we've partnered with Lenny Learning, which we didn't even talk about that tonight. It used to be Brain Health Boot Camp, and some of the opioid funding that the town got is going to pay for that this year. And it's a series of resources around mental health and student supports. So guidance, teachers, and administrators, if they need a lesson, if they need some materials about a certain stress, anxiety, depression, whatever it might be, it's going to be at their fingertips. But what that also comes with is a whole series of questions that we can ask students. We can put surveys together that are researched and all of that, so that we know they're, because good questions are hard to create, right?
That's true.
You're asking the right question. So that's going to help us with that, because we do believe that we should survey our students more frequently, and we should survey our families more frequently with how they feel about what's happening in the district. So that's going to be another great tool that we're going to be able to use for that.
Thank you.
So not teacher specific, but we will get information.
Excellent.
Any more questions or comments? No? All right, yeah, no, those look good, and I agree. Yeah, just keep on keeping on, because we have a lot of unfinished business, so.
We have work yet to do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And thank you.
I think you're going to have to make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to accept the superintendent's goals for 2024-2025 school year as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The next item in your packet is the FY '26, if you can believe it, budget timeline for planning purposes. So,
You're off and running.
No rest.
yeah, she said to me today, September 5th, that all goes to the leadership team. I was like, oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so really, I won't go through all of this. It is very similar to what you've seen before. We changed the formatting a little bit to make it a little bit more readable. But we will vote to send a draft budget to the town by January 9th of 2025. So that's by charter, that we have to have it to them by then. So we will get all the information in place prior to then. And so starting, it first comes to you November 20th.
Okay.
Is when you'll get our first draft.
Alrighty.
Through the chair, I love this. I can read it.
I know, I was gonna say the same thing, like already.
I'm like, we are
format
going to be
is
so
easier.
organized this year. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully that helps a little bit to make it a little bit more legible, but, so more to come, just sharing. And my last item tonight is, we did post for Mr. Fahey's position for the Director of Facilities, putting together an interview team. I currently have a few administrators and a couple of custodians interested in sitting, so I'm happy about that. And it's entirely up to the committee if you'd like someone on the interview team. It really is, I just wanted it to be open to any of you if you were interested, but if not, that's okay too.
Any takers?
It will be a
Through
bit
the
of a
chair, I
commitment.
trust your judgment.
Brooke, are you
I mean,
interested?
I agree, I trust the judgment, but if you feel comfortable having someone on there, I'm more than happy to do it.
Oh, excellent.
Great.
That's not a problem.
All right, thank you, Brooke.
Me volunteering.
Yeah, I know.
Here's trivia.
No problem.
I won't tell your husband. Kill you.
Yeah, I'll nominate Brooke Wren to the interview team for the next Director of Facilities for the Auburn Public Schools.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent, thank
All
you.
right,
Brooke.
thank you, Brooke. All right, Mr. Keller, you're up to bat.
All right. So just a quick update on some of the stuff that took place this summer. Some of the things I want to mention in further detail at future school committee meetings. I think our next one is September 18th. So, but this summer we had our, as we have for many years now, our Title I summer program, which was really successful. You heard Jill Clough's name mentioned tonight as the interim assistant principal at the middle school. She actually was managing the Title I summer program, and so she had a nice opportunity to take on some leadership and run that program, and I worked with her. So really good stuff coming from the Title I summer program. Just a lot of student learning that I was able to see, and we had students connecting to the school and connecting with their teachers. So I want to mention that. We also had 2 days of language-based training with teachers, special education teachers and general education teachers at Swanson Road and at our middle school that took place this past summer. They're continuing that work. And again, I'll touch on that at a future meeting about exactly what that entails and what we're looking to do as a result of that training. And then Dr. Chamberlain talked about relationships and how important that is, of course. And you saw in one of her goals information around restorative practices, and we continue to do that. So we had 2 groups go through restorative practices training this year. A Tier 2 program. The group that started last year as Tier 1 went through Tier 2 this year, and then we started a brand new Tier 1 group with teachers from all the schools and some administrators as well. So again, I'll talk more about that, share some of the feedback that we got from that, because it was largely very positive feedback that we got. In addition, as we do every year, we had summer curriculum proposals. So a lot of teachers took advantage of the summer curriculum. We were focused on universal design for learning, as we have been, and that is an initiative, as Dr. Chamberlain mentioned as well. We're continuing on that path and making sure that teachers understand and are very excited about moving forward with that. So I'll just mention a couple key pieces. We had over 40 individuals or groups of teachers who worked together to move forward curriculum proposals. And so we had items like career exploration and financial planning. As you probably know, we have a new IEP in the state of Massachusetts, so we had special education teachers and team chairs working on that. So those are those expectations and understanding the IEP and writing the IEP are clear to everybody using it. We have a new, we implemented UDL in a grade 11 world history curriculum. As I mentioned last year, we got a grant for investigating history that we're starting this year in grades 5, 6, and 7. And so we had teachers working on that, implementing those materials, and just in general, incorporating more primary source materials in their curriculum. Expanding our peer leadership program at the high school, and looking to employ that at the middle school this year. Creation of school avoidance and school refusal protocols that I'll touch on again at a future meeting. creation of a new humanities course at Auburn High School for English learners, a creation of a high school class, a creation of an English unit at the high school that explores personal decisions and how those impact our lives and those around us, creation of calm down kits to support students' social emotional needs. We had our mentor coordinators work a lot this summer on creation of a mentor handbook. We haven't had a handbook previously, and so mentors are working with the new educators on specific tasks each month and the items that they need to go over. And grade 2 science and social studies created a pacing guide with skill packets that were for leveled readers. So those are just a few of the things. There were plenty more that I didn't mention here, and those teachers deserve a lot of recognition for utilizing their time over the summer. But a lot of great projects and a lot of positive progress on each of those.
Yeah, that's amazing. We would be so behind the ball if these teachers didn't do all the summer work. And it's a total myth that they get summers off, because there's so many of them that are still, Sam, I'm sure you're one of them, working all summer regardless. So thank you so much to all of them.
Some summers, no.
No, it really, it benefits everyone, not just themselves. So it's very,
It's for the love of the kids and the job.
right.
The other thing I'll just mention very quickly is that on August 20th, and you saw all of them here tonight, the new educators. So we had a new educator welcome. Brianne was a big part of making sure that they were well fed in the morning. Mr. DeLongchamp, Dan's father, was our tour guide, so we did a bus tour of
That's
Auburn.
right.
Of Auburn,
Oh
and
my
so,
gosh, that's so
he puts a lot of time in preparing and highlighting and showing everybody the highlights of Auburn, so it was really well done, and people really appreciated that.
Cute.
He loves it.
He does.
I knew there was the bus ride. I didn't know he was involved.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He's
As
perfect
the
for
tour
that.
guide, yeah.
I feel like I want to invite next year because I want to sit
I
through
would
that.
totally
Yeah.
sit in on that, absolutely.
Work on that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, is that all you got today?
It is, thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Mr. Keller. We'll move on to Mrs. Stanek.
Yes,
This
good
is your
evening,
big moment.
everybody. I have provided you with a year-to-date budget report for the FY25 school year dated August 28th, 2024 for your review. And I just want to note that the staff salaries have not been updated in the Munis accounting system, as well as some of the utilities and services that we renew each year.
All right, and you
there
don't
any
need any
questions?
motions or anything?
Nope,
No,
not,
any
that's just for your information,
Okay.
that part. And then I have also provided the omnibus transfers 1, 2, and 3 for your information, as agreed last May. And all was done for the purpose of closing out the fiscal year 2024. And I can't thank Cecilia Wisbicki enough, because she took care of that before her departure. So I came into the new budget, so she was amazing in everything that she did. So we are at the start of the fiscal year 2025, even though we're going to do the budget for fiscal year 26.
And soon we'll be talking about 2027.
Right? It goes fast, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
sure does.
And then I will provide an FY25 budget transfer at our next scheduled meeting.
Okay.
Additionally, I provided the 3 separate memos dated June 30th, 2024 for your information. These memos were sent by Cecilia to the town accountant, CFO Karen Harnois, regarding the closing out of the FY24 budget and various town meeting approved articles needed to be carried over for use in the new fiscal year. And finally, as is customary each year, I have provided you with the school department revolving gift and student activities accounts updated as of August 2nd, 2024, for your acceptance and approval for the FY25 school year.
All right. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve, for the approval of the FY25 fiscal year, the list of resolving gifts and student activities accounts as presented by the business manager.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Please vote. Thank you. You're welcome, thank you.
And welcome.
I know.
Officially.
I hope you love it. Because good business managers are hard to come by, so yes. whatever we can do to help. Oh, you don't want me crunching numbers, but we're here. You can vent to me anytime you want. Or
No, I appreciate it, and sorry I had to call you in to sign some warrants over the
That's all
summer,
right.
but
We're used to
Appreciate your
that.
support.
I will say, Mrs. Stanek has hit the ground running. Really, she has done a tremendous job and already has made a number of suggestions on ways that we can become more efficient, more accurate, and more effective as a business office as a whole. And so, when I tell you she's been working day and night, it is not an exaggeration. And so we appreciate her efforts, and honestly, I think we are in very good hands moving forward, so.
I agree. And even the little case studies you did prior to taking on this role, I mean, that was a huge benefit to us with the preschool information, you spent a lot of time on that stuff,
Thank
so.
you.
It didn't go unnoticed,
Not
I'll
at
tell
all.
you that.
I appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
I did have one question, though, about the student activities account. Just that Swanson Road has less than PAC, and I'm just wondering how that happens and why is it can't be like a PTO thing, right? It's
In
just-
the student activity account,
Yeah,
it just all depends on what is spent by the
Oh, okay.
principals, and what student activities is very regulated as to what it can be spent on. It needs to be spent on for all of the students and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it just depends from year to year what is spent at the buildings.
okay, all right. So if there was ever, let's say Swanson Road didn't have enough money for what they needed, do we have an account that would cover the
Well,
money that they need? or-
Oftentimes, probably that would be something that would go to
The
PTO.
PTO, okay, all right.
Yeah. That's really just a little bit of extra.
Yeah.
When you need a little extra something.
Okay.
One more bus to go to Hanover.
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
Oh,
and-
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you use those things for.
Yeah, all right.
And it does, I will say Dr. Lopez is well aware of all the money she has available to her and makes good use of it, so.
All right, that's all I had, so that's great. And do we need executive session?
We do not.
All right, seek a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion
to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
Everyone, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's a vote. Good night, everyone. Thank
night.
you.
Nice.
One down.